everybody, and welcome to the vlog. And Lucy is ready for me to come in and say hi to her. And today we're actually going to start the day with Lucy, but I am going to actually talk about the smallest pythons in the world and the largest pythons in the world. But I think I'm going to have to go get Eric and Bruce to help me out with Lucy before I get this day started. What do you say we learn a little bit about pythons? And like I've mentioned in the past, that Lucy's been in a pretty good mood lately, but I do have Bruce and Eric here just to help me because, listen, she's a big snake. The one thing I will say, she's very hungry lately, so I definitely don't want her to think I'm food, because oftentimes when I'm walking in, I've got a rabbit in my hand, and I definitely don't want her to think that I'm a rabbit. But other than that, she's been in a really good mood lately, which makes it really nice, and she is definitely a big animal. Again, looks like she's in a good mood again. She's kind of just hanging out in the water. The opportunity for us to get her out right now will give us a chance to clean this water, which we do all the time as well. Come on, Lucy. Come on, girl. It's so nice handling this animal, not having to worry about getting bit. I can tell you that much. I'm going to hand it off to Eric. Just kind of pull her out here. God, there's a lot of snake right there.
That's a lot of snake.
Okay. Yep. There she is. Look at the size of that snake right there. Oh my God. That is a big snake right there, guys. Lucy is obviously a reticulated python, and it's the largest, longest snake on the entire planet. Not Lucy, but reticulated pythons. But I tell you what, guys, I want to start with the smallest snake on the planet. And that's right, that's one of the smallest pythons in the world. That's right, this is a python, guys. And these are all what they would call Anteraceae. There's actually 4 different species, and the actual smallest is what they call an anthill or a Parthenthus. I actually don't work with those guys, but these guys are barely bigger. I mean, this is just a little tiny python from Australia. And we actually do work with 3 of the 4 species, which is spotted, Stimsons, and children's python. That's right, guys. You think that pythons are big, but look at this tiny little monkey right here. And again, they don't get very big either. This is actually an adult spotted python, a children's python, and Stimson's pythons. And again, you know, these guys obviously don't get very large, right? I mean, this is a full-grown adult. This is one of the proven breeders that I actually hatched some of the babies from this year. So they're a really cool pint-sized python. I always say like an apartment size, right? So again, oftentimes people think pythons are huge. They hear the word python and they think, oh my God, it's gotta be a 20-foot monster, human-eating animal or something like that. But the truth is, the vast majority of pythons actually stay relatively small, just like the Anteraceae. Then, to be totally honest with you, probably the most popular python of all would be a ball python. And of course, this is a piebald ball python, which is just a paint job, a really cool paint job. That's a recessive mutation. Woo! A little feisty monkey too. And the truth is, ball pythons are usually really the most calmest of the pythons. And again, because they are perfect for kids and they don't move around a tremendous amount, most of the time they don't have this kind of attitude like this little monkey has right here. They're usually super placid. But again, you know, it's a python that probably the vast majority of people that keep snakes want to start with a python like this. What? Just like a little machine gun. What are you doing, little buddy? It's okay. Again, most of the time ball pythons are definitely not this way. And here's an example of how big a ball python actually gets. This is pretty much adult size. They'll get a little bit bigger, sometimes stay a little bit smaller. But again, most people that want a snake as a pet, they don't really want a 20-foot python, right? So if you're a kid and you're going to your parent and saying, hey mom, I want a ball python, they might be thinking it's gonna get 20 foot. And the fact is that this is the adult size right here. This is as big as they get, and they are absolutely placid animals. As you can see, this little monkey here is not nearly as feisty as the baby is. Absolutely never get bit by an adult ball python because they are just so absolutely incredible when it comes to an animal. So again, this vlog is more or less just kind of disproving the fact that pythons are giants, because there's a lot of variety when it comes to pythons. And while we're on the topic of ball pythons, I actually have a couple cool clutches of ball pythons that just hatched this morning. And as promised, I wanted to show you a few ball pythons that just hatched out. This was actually a yellow-bellied ball python that was bred to a pastel ivory. The pastel ivory, of course, is the super yellow belly, which is a white snake, and then of course it has a little bit of the pastel gene in it, which blows things out. But weirdly enough, we didn't produce any normal pastel yellow bellies, which is not that uncommon, but it's just kind of interesting. But nevertheless, these are the co-dominant yellow bellies. And the reason they were called yellow bellies in the beginning was the fact that they typically had yellow bellies. But then as more people bred them, they realized that not all of them had yellow bellies, so it's kind of a weird name, because sometimes people get them and like, why do I get a yellow belly? It's not even a yellow belly. Fact is, they are basically white snake producers, and of course, these are the little white snakes right here. And weirdly enough, we didn't get any pastel yellow bellies, but it appears that every single white snake is a pastel ivory. So again, this is the super form of yellow belly. Yellowbelly and pastel. And the only difference between a pastel ivory and an ivory is that their heads are a little darker on the ivories, and they're not quite as blown out, have a little bit darker yellow splotching on them and stuff like that. So these guys are beautiful. The normal ivories are really incredible as well, but when these get a little older with the pastel gene, they turn even more white, which is really incredible. And the odds were pretty good. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 pastel ivories and 3 Yellowbellies. So can't complain about that clutch. As we're getting a little bit bigger, you would say Woma Pythons probably fit in that mid-range snake, right? Because they'll get about, 7 foot, most of the time about 6 foot, to be totally honest with you. This is a relatively big Woma Python. These guys are from Australia. They're hatched pretty small, not much bigger than a ball python, but they do get a little bit larger. But as you can see, they're typically very, very good temperament-wise. They are aggressive feeders, that's for sure, but if you want kind of a cool mid-sized python, something that's almost the size of a boa constrictor, let's say, Woma Pythons are actually a really good option. And then the Woma's very close cousin is actually the black-headed python right here. Essentially, they almost look just like Woma Pythons, but they have that really amazing black head. And I've said this before, what they use that black head for is they'll actually hide in the crevices and just stick the very top of their head out. And that black can actually absorb the sun, and it'll thermoregulate their entire body, which I think is amazing. Now, black-head pythons are slightly larger than Woma Pythons. They'll get another foot to 2 foot, a little bit more girthy, but still an absolutely gorgeous animal. And I figure, hey, if I'm going to show a Woma, I've got to show a black-headed python, because trust me, they are pretty awesome animals. Another cool little python is actually a blood python, and they're not quite as little as, say, a ball python, but they kind of look similar to a ball python. And this is that beautiful one that I got a while ago that is a little bit cantankerous. And of course, Sweety is pretty much an adult blood python. They can get a little bit larger than this, not gonna lie, but she's a pretty average size, right? She's about 3 years old, adult animal, could produce eggs at this size, but you can see how absolutely placid these guys are. Now, some blood pythons are a little bit cantankerous, just like the one I showed you before, but if you work with them, Sweety is proof that they can be absolutely wonderful animals. I mean, we get people from all over, kids coming in and just handling Sweety, and we've never had even the slightest incidents with her. So if you want kind of a big beefy python, but one that only gets 4 to 5 foot, blood pythons are absolutely a great option. Kind of in the same ilk as a Woma or a black-headed python would be the kind of same size with Steely, the jungle carpet python. Now, there's a ton of different types of carpet pythons, from Erie and Jaya to jungles to Centralians to Darwins, all kinds of different stuff. And they do vary in size a little bit, the smallest being maybe 5 foot, the largest being maybe 9 foot, somewhere in this range. But typically jungle carpets stay, in that 5 to 6 foot range, right in that range anyways. Beautiful snakes, really placid, good animals, good eaters. I love carpet pythons. And again, just another example of python that doesn't get 25 foot. Green tree pythons like my girl Pickles here are a good example of another kind of cool python. Now, these aren't necessarily a great pet python that you want to take out and handle, although some can't come out and be handled. The majority of them kind of want to sit in there. I always say that these are kind of like the aquarium fish of the reptile trade, if you know what I mean. Kind of like you set up a really cool environment, you put them in there, you view them just like you would view a fish. You don't take your tropical fish out and play with them, right? That's kind of the way I feel about green trees. That's not to say that you can't have a tame green tree. I know people that handlers and stuff like that, but I think there's a little bit of stress that goes along with it. These guys will get about 6 foot in length, but the way they coil up, and they always kind of stay like Pickles are right here, they don't look like they're very big at all. So again, not a giant snake, but a relatively sizable snake, and an absolutely incredibly beautiful snake. This guy is certainly not a python that you would probably typically hear about when people say, hey, if you want a pet python, because IDalberts pythons aren't very common, number one, and to be honest with you, oftentimes they're not the most docile animals. Now, this particular one is super good. It's of course the northern version, which is more gold. The southern version gets a little bit larger and is kind of almost all black, but absolutely beautiful animals. I figured, hey, any excuse I have to show off a IDalberts or a white-lipped python, I'm going to do it. And hey, if I'm doing a python episode, I might as well show this beautiful little monkey off. Our way up to the size scale when it comes to snakes, we're going to get into some of the giants. Now, there are some pretty big snakes out there like scrub pythons that get really large, but really you think about 3 really big pythons when you think of the giants, and that's of course the African rock python, the Burmese python like my girl Sunrise here, and of course we'll get into Lucy in a minute, which is the reticulated python. But the Burmese python, I think of the 3, are the kind of puppy dogs, right? They're very slow moving compared to the rock pythons and reticulated pythons, as well as the fact that they're just really docile animals comparatively. I had a rock python for about 20 years, and it was definitely a challenge to say the least. And we all know that Lucy sometimes is in a great mood, and sometimes she wants to, well, give me a little kiss, if you know what I mean. But regardless, Burmese pythons are a large animal. Sunrise is only a little over 2 years old, and she's already 9 foot, about 40 pounds or so. She's gonna eventually get about 18 foot and up to a couple hundred pounds. Now, it's pretty rare for Burmese pythons to get much over 18 foot. Pushing 20 might be the absolute max, but I personally have never even seen a 20 footer, but they can get pretty sizable and are certainly one of the giant pythons. Back to the biggest or longest snake in the world. You know, a lot of people think that anacondas are actually the longest snake in the world, but the truth is, green anacondas typically rarely exceed 16, 17 foot. Now, don't get me wrong, green anacondas can certainly be one of the heaviest bodied snakes in the world, but reticulated pythons, like Lucy here, is the animal that takes the crown when it comes to the longest snake in the world. These guys can literally get almost 25 foot long. Let's just get her up here. Oh, she is a big snake. And trust me, they can still get pretty big. I've seen reticulated pythons that probably rival anacondas when it comes to the actual girth as well. So I'm not gonna argue the point whether the anaconda or the reticulated python are the longest or biggest snake in the world. I can say they're definitely the longest snake. But again, pythons doesn't mean that they're giants. Just because it has the word python on it, oftentimes people think of a snake like Lucy here, being that she is the biggest snake. And like I had shown in today's vlog, most pythons are actually relatively small animals. There's only a few of the giants, reticulated pythons, Burmese pythons, and rock pythons. And I tell you what, Lucy is a handful. She is an absolutely wonderful snake. And you can see what an amazing difference just a month makes with disposition. The fact that she cleared herself out of eggs and has been eating regularly has just calmed this animal down. Because again, there's no way that I would have my face this close to Lucy a month ago, because she would have definitely taken a pop at me. But I tell you what, just take a look at guys. Woo, this is a lot of snake right here. And this is a beautiful snake. And I'm so very lucky to have Lucy in my life, because she is a truly amazing animal. So I tell you what guys, from the smallest python to the longest and probably for certainly biggest python and maybe biggest snake in the world, the reticulated python and my girl Lucy. Whew, what an absolutely amazing time. Let me know down in the comments what snake you would like to handle. If you were surprised about the fact that there's such diversity in the length of pythons. And I tell you what guys, I'm about wore out, so I'm gonna go take a nap or something like that, get my energy level back. Wish you guys an amazing day. Tell you that I love your beautiful faces. Be kind to someone, and I promise I'll see you guys tomorrow.